Manchester City overcome Bournemouth in a game that showed us that they have the resolve to see out a very tough fixture and also the resolve to try and keep pressing on ahead as they try to keep hold of their Premier League title. Bournemouth gave as good as they could. Towards the end of the second half, they had Manchester City pinned, and for once we saw Manchester City hanging on to a slim victory. What's up, guys? It's your boy Izzy, and if you're new to the channel, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like and the subscribe button to let YouTube and everybody else know that you're enjoying this content. Now, this game, a lot could be said about Bournemouth and their performance, and a lot could be said about Manchester City and their dominance in the first half. But Phil Foden's goal was the only thing that separated Bournemouth from Manchester City, which is a stark return from what happened in the reverse fixture when Manchester City absolutely walloped them 6-1. But in this game, we saw the good side of Bournemouth and we saw the bad side. Now, the first half, they were very lucky to go in at just 1-0 down. Manchester City were very good. Their passing was crisp. Everything was what you expect Manchester City to be. But towards the end of the game, Bournemouth started growing into the game. And it was a very, very good performance. Manchester City were very good in the first half, but in the second half, we saw them decide to become a little bit more defensive. They put to bed those jitters that they had during the week when they had to wait until the 70th minute for their team to strike. This time, Erling Haaland was the unwitting provider of a shot that ended up being parried onto the path of Phil Foden, who has been in extremely good form. And it does help the fact that he is in good form because this allows them to keep Kevin De Bruyne on the bench and to only have him when they really need to. And we saw him come in towards the end of the game, and that was testament to how good Bournemouth played because they needed to have a lot more control in the midfield. Bournemouth were growing in confidence towards the end of the match, and they were unfortunate to not get anything from it despite a number of very good opportunities. Manchester City faced almost 13 shots, I believe, in this game, and that's very high for a team of Manchester City's quality. And the fact that they weren't able to hold on to the ball as much as we know them to be able to speaks to the control that Bournemouth decided to exercise towards the end of the game. Now, as far as the title run in, this does not change anything as far as what we know. Manchester City are that team at this point of the season, and they will keep on getting results. But they are about to step into a very testing run of fixtures. They're going to have Manchester United, they're going to have Brighton, they're going to have Arsenal, and they're going to have Liverpool towards the end of this month. It is going to be a very tough period for Manchester City. And if they're able to make sure they get at least 9 out of 12 points in those fixtures, it's going to be very hard to see anybody keeping Manchester City away from the title. Bournemouth, on the other hand, played very well, and they can take a lot of confidence from this performance. They are not in any real risk of being anywhere negative in the table at this point, but they do need to start getting a few more points on the board just to make sure that the teams below them, for example, your Nottingham Forests and your Crystal Palace, are kept at bay and they protect themselves from any resurgent team down there at the bottom. Overall, I thought it was a decent game. Not much to call as far as the scoreline because it was a pretty end-to-end game towards the end. Manchester City felt a little stretched, but that is the point that I wanted to address in the middle of the week when I was talking about Manchester City not having that same clinical nature that we normally know them to have. They're not winning these games by large margins, and I think we have been spoiled to the fact that Pep Guardiola and his team have been so good over the recent seasons. That's why we almost expect them to have a near flawless performance. But in this game, they were tested, especially towards the end. And if Ouattara was able to square the ball into the penalty area correctly, Bournemouth had a few opportunities, and that could have seen them possibly add another twist to the title. But at this point, Manchester City are going to be happy what they were able to do. Arsenal are playing right now, so I'm going to go and cut this camera off and try and go and catch that fixture. Now, if anything else pops up, I might go ahead and put my Liverpool review that I wasn't able to put during the week because my editing software was being a bitch. But anyway, guys, it's your boy Izzy. Thank you for watching. And as always, until the next review, peace.